Hello everyone, this is Brian, and welcome back to Twilight Struggle Play the Experts, the game where I play the experts and you laugh. Last time we played the rest of the early war, our opponent made an excellent headline combo which let him grab both Egypt and France and locked us out of any good scoring. We had a huge ops battle in the Middle East which ultimately came to a tie. We sacrificed the containment card to hang on to de-Stalinization until turn 3 so we can jam it in after the reshuffle and get rid of it. We then had the good fortune to redraw containment, which turned a decent ops hand into a great ops hand, and we also got decolonization and sent it straight to space. At the end of the turn, we were poking our way out into Africa and spreading freedom in Central America, hoping to get further ahead on the scoring track. So here we go into the mid-war. What will happen next? Let's see our first hand of mid-war cards here. Oh, and I am happy to see Asia scoring. Okay, so we are going to just start churning points out of our own personal scoring lake. That's good. Okay, so we're getting down to a sort of scridgy little ops hand. You know, we had some good ops hands, and this is more... I'd say it's even a bad ops hand, because you see the 3 for de-Stalinization, but it has to go to space. So we got this 1 3 ops card, and then we've got like 3 1-ops cards. We might actually be able to use kitchen debates to get 2 points, which seems getting 2 points for 1 op is probably worth activating the event. Allende is absolutely awful because it means I'm gonna have to give him 2 points in Chile. Like, I don't want him in South America, like, especially when I'm not there. Now, the good card, the best card we drew, well, actually, we drew 2 best cards that we drew, and probably the best card is Voice of America, which lets me just rip 4 of his influence points off the map. No more than 2 per country. But that could, you know, if he got a little spray of stuff into South America or somewhere, I could just rip him right back out and he wouldn't be touching the places anymore. If I could arrange it to do it quickly enough, I could give him his 2 points in Chile and then Voice of America away. I mean, like, this, an example of a headlining tactic that I don't actually think is good enough to be worth doing. I could headline Allende, give him 2 over there, and then expecting him to go ahead and take a coup on his first turn so that I don't take a coup to knock the DEFCON down to 2, and then I could use Voice of America and rip his 2 guys back out of South America before he ever even barely knew they were there, and then I could take 2 off of somewhere else. Like, I don't know, I would probably take them out of Algeria just to be annoying, but he touches that with France, so he could just put them right back. So, you know, that's a way forward. The other card that we have that's really good is Puppet Governments. Puppet Governments is it's almost like a de-Stalinization for us. It lets us go to 3 different countries. They have to be currently completely unoccupied. And then we get to put 1 influence in. That's our little puppet state. So that is our way into South America, and that is something we're going to do. But I don't want to headline it, because if I headline it, then he can immediately coup one of my fledgling puppet states. So I wonder if we should headline Asian scoring and just wump some points off. I guess we're just going to take the 2 points for kitchen debates. And one reason is just to see, I have so many more battlegrounds than him that even a really good battleground flipping card for him isn't going to let him escape from me getting the 2 points. And it just gets a little tiny 1-op card out of my hand. It leaves me the flexibility of, you know, headlining something else. I mean, I guess I could have headlined the Pope, which I certainly want to play the Pope as the event because it activates the solidarity event for the late war, just to give him some annoyances in Europe. But I have the option if I really just need to use 2 ops. Some would argue when Poland's at 7, then maybe you need to use the 2 ops. But being able to break his domination of Europe at the very last minute in the late war might come in handy. So anyway, I'm getting a 1-op out of my hand. And if you think I should have headlined a Linde and then planned to play Voice of America on Action Round 1, tell me in comments, because that was the other kind of reasonable play. I just felt like I wanted to save Voice of America as an ace in the hole. All right, so he has headlined South African unrest. So yeah, he and I together distracted me from filling up South Africa. So he's going to go put a little prod into it. But more importantly, maybe I should have over-controlled Angola one more. I don't know, because he's going to get to put 2 points in there. And so now he's going to control that. And that's not great. We get our 2 points. And then I bet he's going to coup the crap out of Zaire. Yes, he is. And boom, he's taken it over, but, not a big takeover. So DEFCON goes to 2. Wah, wah, wah. And Formosan resolution is interesting-ish in that it means that Taiwan would actually count as a battleground for us in Asia. So, we get even more points. So if we were willing to use our 1 decent op card that don't wait for the translation to fill up Thailand, you can get 1 extra point. But I'm not going to be using 3 ops to get 1 point. Just want to go on the record now in advance to tell you that. So now Africa doesn't look nearly as benign as it looked about 5 seconds ago. So that was a combo. That was a Soviet combo. So he just flipped the crap out of my little dinky 1 stability battlegrounds. Well, so it kind of punishes me for maybe I should have put more into Africa when I had a chance. On the other hand, it does at least somewhat vindicate the saving of the Voice of America card, because when you see 4 points of influence that you wish weren't there, 4 Soviet points that you wish weren't there, there's just never a better card than the Voice of America. You can go away from all of these places. Oh, look, I control Angola again, and I am not going to repeat the mistakes of the past. No. So here comes OPEC for influence. Oh my goodness, OPEC for influence. He must have the African scoring card, because he could have played that for 4 points, because so OPEC, as an event, gives him 1 point for every, Middle Eastern oil country he controls, of which he controls 4, and 4 points, man, he just, I guess he must have the thing, so he's playing it, he's paying the iron price. He spent the extra point, to break my control, he has to kind of waste or pay the iron price for a point of influence. So his 3 ops card only puts 2 influence in Angola, and he's there. And of course, he's threatening to go back into Zaire. But see, now I too touch Zaire. And one way I am not going to repeat the mistakes of the past is this time I'm going to put 2 points into Zaire. And it's only a question of what card I'm going to put 2 points of Zaire in with. So unfortunately, I'm going to have to use my biggest card, because I guess I could use the Pope, but I don't want to use the Pope. So it means I have 1 extra point of influence to put somewhere. I would rather have put it somewhere, quote, useful, unquote. I hate using my biggest card and then just kind of plopping 1 point of influence somewhere off the beaten path. I guess I'm just going to go ahead and fill Burma up. Someday the Indo-Paki War will be back, and so now we'll have that. And we'll get a point someday, but I don't know. Should I have used the Pope? Again, tell me in comments. Should I have just bitten down and used the Pope and saved that card, save the don't wait in translation card for having a 3 ops later. Oh, someone else's private scoring garden heard from. So any chance we ever had of, I guess we had kind of written off Europe just between you and me at this point. We knew that he was going to dominate Europe, but he did it now rather than later. And so he got his 5 points because he had 3 battlegrounds. We had 2 battlegrounds. He has more countries than we do. He has at least 1 Nautical. He established all the conditions, so he got the extra 4 points for domination itself, and so he gets 5 points. Well, I would say one good turn deserves another. We don't like the scoring card being at 0. Now, we could fill the world up with our little babies. Or Brazil, so he can't. I mean, I know OPEC. I hate to go into Venezuela and get cooed because Venezuela counts toward OPEC. But yeah, this may be our best break to get into some of these other places. So if we go to Nigeria just to kind of shore up, I don't like the idea of only having one fragile little 1-point battleground in Africa. We're trying to end up without nothing in Africa. The U.S. goal in Africa is to not end up with nothing, because nothing turns out to be worth like negative 11 points sometimes, or negative 10 points if we had like one little tiny presence but not in the battleground. If he controls Africa and even scores 5 battlegrounds plus the control bonus and blah blah, it's horrible. So, and it's so easy for him to coup because he always gets to take a coup at the beginning of the turn when DEFCON's at 3, knocks it down to 2, then we're not allowed to do a battleground coup without blowing the world up, so it's really hard. We can sometimes steal the coup through various tactics and cards, but I don't want to have nothing there, and so I'm willing to use one of my countries for that, and then I'd like to get into each of the 2 halves of South America, so one into either Venezuela or Brazil, and I'm kind of going with Brazil just so that because Venezuela is slightly more valuable to him because when OPEC comes back, someday, a long time from now, Venezuela counts for that. And then the question is Argentina or Chile, Argentina or Chile. If I go into Chile, he can't coup me out, and so that's probably the reason to go to Chile, and so I'll probably go to Chile just because I don't have a lot of ops. If I had big 4 ops cards, I would be just filling the crud out of South America this turn before he gets there. But I just don't have a lot of ops. That's the bad thing. Ooh, China card again. This guy is a China card player. He likes to play the China card. And so he did it for big ops, which I'm jealous. I would admit if I had the China card this turn, I'd probably load it right on into Brazil and Venezuela and Argentina and stuff. But yeah, he's locked down. He is fully in a good shape. So he's got more battle. He's got 3 well-controlled battlegrounds, and as soon as he grabs a non-battleground, he's going to dominate. And he's got access to some reasonably stable ones for Africa in both Botswana and Morocco, which is actually reasonably stable for anywhere. So that is unfortunate. So I think I don't feel initiative in the balance right now. So I think it's time to go get rid of another obligation. We have the obligation to not have Asian scoring card in our hand by the end of the turn, which is that's an easy obligation to face because 7 points for the United States is a most welcome outcome. And that ends his dream of somehow avoiding Asian scoring. Restores the rightful balance of the scorecard. Oh, and the Kremlin flu. Well, it's good he had to space it. It's mildly unfortunate it succeeded and he got 1 point. And even more unfortunate that we didn't draw it again and make him skip a phase again and all that great and take 2 ops while we did it again. Oh, what a great card. But hey, it's reasonably fair that I get it once and he gets it once, and we use it to good effect in the first turn. So he got rid of a good card for us, which, maybe one good turn deserves another, and we'll get rid of his best card to our space race. Success! And, in the funny world of the funny space race, this, aberrant alternate space race track we're using. It means that now I don't have to worry about getting ops anymore. So if I don't get any coup ops, this military ops for a coup, which I'm certainly on track to not get any, he's not actually going to get the 2 points. So in a way, that was worth 2 points to me. Thank you, alternate space race. I'm sure I will curse you someday. So basically what it means is, since I'm at the second point on the space track and he's not yet, then at the end of each turn, I get to just add 2 points to my military ops, even though I didn't make any coups. So that's good, as long as, and as if I had said it and then he had just immediately canceled it. So one small step for some Russian guy, and he has catapulted ahead of us on the space race. Oh no. He got to jump right over us, move 2 spaces forward. And so he stole the 2 victory points from there, and he canceled our little we get ops even if we didn't get ops advantage. And now he's ahead, and now he's getting toward the ghastly, awful 4th space, the very reason personified that I hate the alternate space race. Why do I play games with the alternate space race? So that was that was too bad. And ironically, if I hadn't spaced destalinization, then he couldn't have played that card yet. So, with hindsight being 2020, maybe I could have waited another round or two to see if he wanted to play that for ops instead of space. But, oh well, what's done is done. And now we're down to 3 fairly abysmal cards. Summit's event would probably start a nuclear war, so it's just 1 op. Alinde, I really don't want to play. I'm going to probably hold that card. So it's probably the Pope and a 1-point summit somewhere. So we'll save the Pope. If we have to react to some god-awful thing he does, we can take the Pope for 2 ops. Otherwise, we can take him as, for popery. And we'll just see what he does. So he has got... Okay, well, he had to play a bad card he didn't want to play. Nixon plays a China card. He does establish his domination of Africa with his Botswana play that I sort of was expecting earlier. And then he Nixons himself. So because Nixon plays a China card when I already have the China card, I get 2 points, which are, points are welcome. We're kind of building a little bit of scoreboard momentum. There's scoreboard momentum and there's board momentum. So I'm going to just go ahead and pop the Pope in there, and, it slightly alters the Polish situation, but mostly it kind of arms the solidarity card for later. He does get his 2 points, irritating for us not having any ops. I could have used the Pope to coup Botswana, and maybe I would have done some harm. And maybe I should I have couped Botswana and kept the 2 points and not had the Pope later? Maybe. It would certainly be a legitimate play. But on we go to, it's turn 5, and headline phase. I see some interesting cards in here. I'm very happy to see Central America. We got some good high ops, which aren't terrible. We have some 1 ops cards, although one of them is OAS, which is a good event, so that's not bad. This is a pretty good hand. Alliance with Progress, given that we're spread all over the Americas, we could use that to score a lot of points if we manage to not have him coup us into the next century here in a minute. I'm kind of liking this hand. Now, We Will Bury You, we have to be a little bit careful with because it's his event and degrades DEFCON by 1. But this is a card I like to kind of nurse along in my hand if I can, because this is the card that he fears the most when he goes to possibly play Missile Envy on me, because as the U.S., I have a number of events. As the U.S. player, my similar ops-numbered events break ties with him and get to go first. And I have several of those little 2 guys that would tie Missile Envy and would allow me to reduce DEFCON in headline. So grain sales would do that, for example. Boy, How Should I Stop Worrying would do it. There's at least 1 more, maybe even 2 more. And then, a duck and cover would do it. That's a 3 op. And so it's almost particularly if I'm holding We Will Bury You and the and Missile Envy is still out, it's almost my duty to headline one of those if I have it. I don't have one this turn, but the point is if I manage to headline one of those and he headlines Missile Envy, then he loses the game immediately due to DEFCON because we hand that over. We have to hand him our quote-unquote highest ops card, which that will be in the range for. We'll hand it over to him, and he will get to degrade DEFCON during his phase and take it nuclear war and lose the game. So that's it's a card with mixed blessings. We can't get trapped. We can't build up too much, hostile event DEFCON debt over time. But I do like to I like to nurse that along. I don't expect a high-rated player to actually be headlining Missile Envy in the mid-war without knowing where We Will Bury You is unless he gets really extra desperate. But it's partially because I don't want him to know where it is. I need to hold it on for a while and just kind of get us through some rounds where he could have gotten a good play. Now, if we draw Missile Envy, then off that's going to go to space. I mean, We Will Bury You will. So let's see. What is our plan for this turn? It's good that we talked about making a plan. And I think, Central America scoring and Alliance for Progress are a great pairing. Now, Alliance for Progress gives us a point for every battleground country we control in either of the Americas. And since Central America is one of the Americas, and since we just obliterated Fidel a turn or two ago, and we have a lot of high ops, I think our plan is as follows. It's going to be to try to survive whatever horrible coup he brings to us, and then use our ops to fill as many of these battleground countries as possible, hopefully and preferably including all of the battlegrounds in Central America, and we will go ahead and take the little Cuba Daniel Ortega risk to score a net of 9 total points just on the face of it here. And score Central America for 8. Try to score Alliance for Progress for as many as 7. Now, 7 plus 8 plus 4 is a pretty high number in Twilight Struggle turns if we manage to do all of those things and he doesn't bother to coup us or he fails or blah, 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 and doesn't create any other threats, etc., etc., etc. Marshall Plan is almost useless to us in Europe now, and so that's just going to be ops. Flower Power, at least we're not holding a war card, so we'll probably just eat it for ops, take the ops on it. And socialist governments will probably just try to make sure we don't get obliterated out of Europe, and we'll take the ops. And we'll use the China card if we have to, because that's a lot of freaking points. I mean, we did end up on the high end of the scoreboard coming into early war, and so we might have a sort of freak chance to put it away on the scoreboard before any of his stuff comes up, or at least we can create a lot of fear and anxiety on his part, which will serve us well. So I think in terms of headlining, it's always, if you're going to play something for the event, it's often good to go ahead and play it in headline phase, especially if it's a low ops event, so that saves your action rounds to play your high ops card. So OAS is fantastic. It lets us put to influence anywhere we want in the Americas, which sometimes is useful to break his controls of things, but in this situation, I think we're just going to use it to help populate the world with American babies. And also, in case he coups us somewhere unexpected, we could, in headline phase, we could spread around, and plus it's going to get us spread around so that in his coup, he won't be able to get all the targets. He can hit one target with his coup. So we're going to headline the OAS, Organization of American States. Oh, and it's a junta. We didn't really want a junta, but we knew it was out there. So he is going to ponk himself. Oh, in Argentina, we hate that. Oh, he's going to coup. Oh, but he didn't quite get into Brazil. Well, that's something. So we are going to probably get back into Brazil, and we are going to, scare him there. We don't want him, if he's holding the South America card, to be able to just instantly score it while we don't have a presence. So we have to break his little presence, because that thing's worth 2 points. Oh no, he's got the ABM treaty! Wah! 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 Boom! Oh, and he's into Brazil. This is hurting. This is hurting. He is good in headline phase. He is bringing strong, hairy cards to headline phase. And we have got some, there's some hair on this deal, as we say. We gotta make sure we at least dominate this South America. So yeah, we're gonna lock him out of some of the easy things. Knowing we have this little Allende liability means that if he were to just pound 4 cards into Chile, well, at least that's off. At least that makes us get Allende for free. Oh yeah, there he goes. Okay, Brian can sometimes read a card situation. So see if he ends up taking Chile with op. So yeah, I want to make him put another op in there. Then, by cracky, if I'm not going to save Allende and get it the heck out of my hand once he's already put 3 ops. If he's already up on his 3, going ahead and getting rid of Allende forever to get him up, put him up to 5 and we get an op, well, that's a lot less worse than what would have happened if we'd played it otherwise. So, he's well on his way to becoming, Salvador Allende, to becoming an irrelevance in the global thing. But I'm still sad to see him getting a firm foothold in South America. My dreams of domination or even control are being dashed as we speak, but we have seized control of 2 battlegrounds, and I think it's time to go ahead and eat flower power and start making inroads. Now the question is where to put the other 2 flower powers, because there's Cuba, but maybe we don't want them to know about that yet. There's a realignment threat if we go to Peru, because we could realign him at +1. That's interesting. So flower power going into effect as the event. That means that anytime we play a war card from now on, we're going to give him 2 points. So I hope we don't draw a lot of war cards. Or I hope that in the late war there's a Evil Empire Reagan card that'll cancel that, but I don't hold out much hope for that. That's a long time from now. Alright, so he's got a coup, which is good to see that he thinks a coup is more important than playing arms race for 3 points, which is what he could currently play for. I will say that this opponent does not seem all that concerned with points on the victory. Yeah, he is really a map positional player, so we'll see how that works out for him, because I think I have some victory point surprise. In spite of the setbacks, I've got some victory point surprises in store for him this turn. So we already saw him throw OPEC for 4 points out, and now arms race for 3 points is cooing, well, successfully in Peru. And, we'll check back and see. He's kind of going all or nothing on position here, but he is certainly now Chile, we're just not ever going to control Chile at this point, it doesn't seem like, between the Allende card, between he had a successful coup in Peru, so we're not going to be realigning Chile. Maybe I shouldn't have gone there, but I do like provoking my opponent in my phase, and I could have just popped him into Cuba, but that would have given the game away on Central America, and I hate he's already blown some big, so he's used Junta and ABM, so the biggest cards he could get back in with are already out. So I think it is time to reach for the China card. It appears to be a China card play-in kind of a game. We're just going to hand it. He likes to hand it back to us, and we don't need Taiwan. But now it's time to get in here all at once and make sure he can't do any horrible things. Yeah, should I go into Southeast Asia, go into the Philippines, just because that Southeast Asia card is going to come up too. I think we're just going to go ahead and put that in there and get ready for a big fat 6-point score. Oh no! No! Oh no! It's liberation theology. That is so sad. So he is just polluted the crud out of Central America because he can put 3 influence in and he doesn't have to respect the iron price. He can just break our control for 1 point each. So now we're running out of our good ops cards. We can't use We'll Bury You because we would instantly lose. So we have to take a good, hard, cold look at the European situation and see if we can clean this all up with socialist governments. He is on the verge of completely obliterating what is left of what I thought was such a glorious beginning of the turn plan. Which it's good to have a plan, but let's go. It's always better to resolve this first, as tempting as it is to go ahead and you just want to pump your points down, but it's much better to make him take your points off before he knows where you're going to put it, because for all he knows, I'm just going to put him right back into Europe. So he's pulled off, which is, I think, the right move, 2 from Italy and 1 from West Germany. And I guess if I only had one battleground country left in Europe, then I would pretty much have to put 2 points back into it at this point. But I'm kind of holding on, 2 battleground countries. And see, the thing is, we've already established that he is going to dominate Europe every time that scoring card comes up. And so once that's firmly established as a, quote, fact, unquote, then I feel like the win condition for me then is to spend the minimum possible effort to not have him get control of Europe. Because control of Europe, if the scoring card comes up and he has control of Europe, would mean an instant Soviet victory in the game. And that would be bad. That would be bad. So I feel like I want to have at least one really firmly controlled country in Europe, or perhaps 2 sort of controlled countries in Europe. I'm going to go with 2 sort of controlled countries in Europe. And I'm going to put all 3 of these bad boys directly in Central America to try to get these points. I really want these points because it would put so much pressure on him if he had to deal with that. So we're going all offense and not so much. Best defense is a good offense. We're doing it. Here we go. Oh yeah! Look at that beautiful Central America. Yeah, you just try to take some non-battlegrounds. Oh, he's spacing something. Oh, I hate seeing that. Do you know why I hate seeing that? The reason I hate seeing that is because he is now at the 4th square. The critical 4th square on the horrible, horrible alternate space race. Why did I do this to myself? So what that means is he no longer has to care about the iron price. He no longer has to pay 2 influence to place influence into a country that I control. So he can just blam stuff all over into my countries. And he can keep doing that forever until I catch up with him on the space race to that 4 level, which might happen in a couple of turns. I only get 1 try a turn, and it's 50-50 that my next try will go. But like letting someone break the cardinal rule of the whole game forever, every action round, for possibly the rest of the game, or likely at least until late war, that's just a little bit too much for something that's kind of on the random track. You know, I would have done like a card that you headline, like sort of nuclear subs. Maybe there'd be a card you'd headline at the beginning of the turn, and then for the rest of the turn you could ignore the iron price. Or I'd have done like a 4-ops card that you can play and then use all of its things without ignoring the high iron price. It could even be a boat either side event or something. That would be pretty cool. Any of those would be cool. Or maybe if you really were on the space race, I would do like once per turn, like game turn, as in like turn 5, once in turn 5, and then once in turn 6. You could do it 1 time, but anyway. But here we are, and I'm going to have to live with it. But that makes it seem like if he's going to be just breaking control of Central America, it's time to take our 8 points right now. Just right now. Okay, there you go. Have fun breaking control of Central America. Ooh, salt negotiations for influence. Well, okay, yeah, and see, here's where the iron price. See, he's just putting a little pressure on me in Italy there. That's kind of exciting. I'm feeling a little bit pressured in Italy. Oh, remember my strategy about, yeah. Oh, thank God we have the Truman Doctrine. I wasn't expecting much from that, but we're going to just pound him out. Thank you, Truman. So that was fine. That saved us 3 influence points and a little bit of panic. We would have had to dump Alliance for Progress otherwise. All right, so, well, there you go. Okay. So he made some great plays and then he fell into my little trap. It wasn't a brilliant trap. It's a little obvious of a trap, but at least now Allende is a free ops point, and we're going to try to get a little military op. Failing, and he's going to go to like 6 or 7 or 6 in there, and we only give him 1 point at the end of turn 6. So that was that turn had a little more hair on it than I would have liked. I was hoping to come out with an extra 15 points or so. We got like 8 points or 9 points or something out of that. We got some points. 11 on the I'll take comfort in 11 blue numbers on the scoring track there. But he's up at the box 4. Now we're holding Alliance for Progress because it's not a huge hurry. I don't think he's going to be cooing the living daylights out of Central America. He might coup in South America, and we're going to have to live with that. But somewhere between 4 and 5 points will be ours in due course. So it's okay to hold that. If I'd had time, I would have played it. But I need to keep a little flexible and keep the ops on. And so, as turn 6 begins, we see our headline cards. And I do believe I hear the state anthem of the Soviet Union playing in the background. And that means it is time for some homework. The first piece of your homework might be to tell me how I was a total idiot in the last turn, if you think I was. But then you should look at this hand and evaluate it sort of ops versus events ratio. It might be a slightly too easy question here. I mean, it's hard to escape the fact that we've gotten another good hand. You know, we had that one bad hand. We had one bad hand, but we've had some good hands. Turn 4. Pretty bad hand, but I want to hear your plan for this hand and how you would take it forward into turn 6. What are your thoughts on our man in Tehran? What are your thoughts on the bear trap? What are your thoughts on some of his events? And how would you structure this turn? It's not just a matter of shooting them from the hip as you go. You want to have a plan so that you can at least get these cards sort of in the most efficient possible order. And as we saw in this turn, our plan is not necessarily going to survive contact with the enemy. But hey, we got some good points. We went into that turn to score some points, and we did score some points, and we didn't get crushed, right? We didn't like lose all of our stuff in Europe, and we didn't lose domination of anything. So we achieved our goal, and I don't know, if he achieved his goal or not, but it was a positive turn in spite of me almost having several heart attacks along the way and taking a few little risks at the edges. So tell me what your plan is, and I will be back in another week with another episode of Twilight Struggle, Play the Experts.